carrying out group work in real estate course online and the pandemic.
Okay, I hope you can see my presentation.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. And thank you for this opportunity to share some of my thoughts on the group work in the real estate education with all you guys. And also, of course, I'm the third speaker from TU Delft. So I'm really glad that Herman has already provided a lot of feedback information to this to the education program we are providing to the students. But my focus in this presentation is, of course, group work. So I have to start with some background information. In the last 2 years, I have been also working with some colleagues to study the literatures on group work and how you can carry out a group work in a better way, and especially in the real estate education and in relation also with where we are situated on the Faculty of Architecture in TU Delft. We look at how urban development is transformed and who are playing a role. So in this way, planners, architecture, engineering, and property developers, city managers are all partly responsible for the delivering of a better performed, good quality buildings and urban district. They need to deal with multiple requirements to design, develop building and the places that are required today to be sustainable, resilient, circular, eco, and low carbon, and so forth. Educational group work equips students with skills of and capacities to examine complex problems from different perspectives, and trains professionals with different disciplines backgrounds to communicate and collaborate in design development process. The unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic has implied sudden measures to avoid group gathering and ensure social distance. So group work in education has to be executed remotely in the virtual environment. The online setting has challenged the traditional group work in which personal face-to-face interaction is critical. So to have a better understanding of that impact, I examined the real estate course, and I coordinate at our faculty that has happened before the summer this year. The course has to be translated to an online version just 1 month before it started, when the Dutch government imposed strict lockdown in early March. So I think to examine some of the group works literature, I highlight a few issues that are quite important to the understanding of group work. Group dynamic is quite critical to high-performed group work. There are some key components, as you can see there, I listed, for example, communication, collaboration, but also how to build trust, how to empower each team member, and also make each team member being satisfied in participating in the group process. And group work, of course, aims to formulate shared vision, to exchange knowledge, develop creative solutions in the team building process. And it's quite important for the student to learn how to share, respect, and contribute to new ideas and be open to positive and negative feedback. Group work requires students to adopt a collaborative attitude. So in this way, we emphasize on open-mindedness, culture awareness, and awareness of own bias while dealing with data. So it can facilitate a feeling of belonging, empower team member, and develop satisfaction if individuals sense their influence and contribution on group goals and decisions. And one of the last I want to emphasize is effective leadership sometimes can really stimulate team members to influence the decision-making process and also be satisfied with personal growth. So for the question, based on the background study and the empirical observation, I would like to highlight the two questions I want to answer in this presentation. The first is how a real estate education program with group work can be carried out online during the pandemic. And the second is whether the virtual environment has any impact on the process, communication, and the result of group work. So by this, I will use the urban redevelopment game we provided in our faculty, as actually this is happening in the fourth quarter, while Herman's course has happened in the second quarter. So the urban redevelopment game is an interdisciplinary course in which students address an online urban development project with various analytical, technical, and socio-political skills. Students develop experience in working on an interdisciplinary problem and develop a strategic development plan for a given urban area in the Netherlands, often with industrial legacy or environmental issues. And the course is provided for 50 to 70 students who follow the MBE track, but also from the faculty-wide and beyond. So if you look at the chart, you can see that we ask our students to apply for different roles in the real urban setting using the role simulation. They work in a team of 10 to 14 students each, often in 4 to 6 groups competing at the end for a winner, so which is given as encouragement. Each group includes 9 to 11 different roles, some from the municipality parties, and some coming from the market parties, and some are independent parties like process manager, environmental law consultant, or urban designers. The students are guided by the tutor specialized in the specific disciplines, like their role assistant to help the project developers to develop their own vision and strategies. And also there is a student within the group of different roles. They are guided by group supervisors, helping students to integrate the different disciplines on the finalized urban development plan. When the COVID came, it was just 1 month before we can start our course. So we have discussed among all the teaching staff and also involved student assistant in the decision making to make a few principles. For example, we would like to keep the basic structure. And we have already been quite in advance in the virtual education platform to share our materials for education. And so keeping the same structure will be less workload for both teachers and the students. We want it to be reliable. So we had asked lectures to be video recorded so that are indifferent to the internet connection. And the student can play them whenever they want at what time. And effective, so I ask the teachers involved to provide a shortened lecture, keep to the point in the video recording, and also to be realistic about how much you can tell. So what is possible, what is not. We do need to take into account our student well-being, their ability to absorb the knowledge in such a circumstance. And this, of course, affects both teacher and student. And bearable, so 45 minutes for one person's attention is the maximum. That's what we take into account for planning all the education activities. Safety and privacy, which is quite a big issue for online tools, can and cannot be done. For example, when Zoom was first introduced, I had a Zoom license, But many teachers oppose that because Zoom at the time had their service in America, which is against the European law. So that's something that we have to take into account. And evolving, I think, as student assistant joined our decision-making process, and we also involved students who are in the student association to check student feedback, so we can revise small things in order to create a more user-friendly kind of environment for the students. Of course, the biggest challenge is the organizing field trip and a workshop online. So if you look at our planned and unplanned education, group work actually goes through the whole process. You can see at the beginning of the introduction phase, the stage, students playing the same role. They work together to deepen their understanding in their specialized disciplines after the supervision. And the presentations has been organized to allow students to introduce their roles and discuss the perspective of different disciplines and exchange knowledge. In the negotiation phase, that actually is, we ask the students to develop their negotiation strategies and achieve their own interests and go through concessions after rounds of confrontation. So an intensive collaboration workshop and the urban development charrette was organized at the beginning of this phase to help students getting used to this kind of negotiation environment and translate abstract concept of ideas into visual products. And sessions of groups with groups or between the different roles are often organized by students themselves and sometimes assisted by the process manager, which is also played by the student. This negotiation leads to the agreement on the overall plan, design, functional project, program, land price, financial feasibility, and contract forming. So students actually at the last phase, elaborating in the reporting phase, work also in groups, translating the final negotiated result into vision, development phasing, land transfer contract, and sustainability strategies. The result, of course, is presented at the final group presentation by the team, joined by the juries from the external stakeholders. So we used to do our group work like this. You can see that very warm and hot discussion ongoing face to face, and people can recognize each other's emotions. But during the COVID, this is how we work all the time. You can see some of the interactive online tools has been used. So the weekly meetings between the tutors and students moved online. We start with the Skype for Business, the big blue buttons, and Zoom later. Presentations were also occurred online, and the field work actually was replaced by online lectures and Q&A sessions, which involved practitioners who mainly use Microsoft Teams, and supported also by various digital maps and other digital informations we found from the practitioners. The meetings between the roles occurred in the Zoom meeting, often coordinated by the process manager. Students make use of various digital interaction tools to communicate, like Zoom, collaborative in document like a Google Docs, design using Mira, and workshops are often carried out in a smaller version or shorter version via Zoom. Quite important, I think I want to emphasize is how to exchange data digitally is quite crucial for the students. So students make use of Google Drive or a Dropbox. Quite often important is to work at the same time and repeat to prevent the repetition of work. I have followed the student group work closely and joined one group constantly during the phase, can't do all the time, but quite often following. And later we organize panel discussion and ask feedback with some surveys. These are the issues I would like to highlight for group work in the virtual environment. And the first is online tools for interaction and data sharing. Students tend to choose Zoom as interactive tools, and Google Doc and Miro can really help them to work together simultaneously, expressing their ideas and without a repetition. We have found that as we start with Sky for Business, students immediately move into Zoom after our supervision stopped. The idea for the choice of online tools is that they look for tools that better observe each group member during the discussion. And also the tools need to show a little bit better, clearer facial image for the students.
Okay,
yeah.
You're running out of time fast. You have 1 minute.
Okay, yeah, and I would say that it's a short, slower process with more time-consuming, and students do miss some of the informal interaction, like the use of body language, and also sometimes the remark can be a bit more received as more personal. For some of the work we have done, I would like to show you here. Let's move on to the final about the discussion. We see that there's extensive use of digital tools for remote interdisciplinary collaboration. These are possible and also feasible. We do miss the spontaneous interactions between people, which is quite an issue that we hope that some more knowledge on meeting science can improve. And there is a challenge for our teaching staff to assess how group performance is done, because you're not there face-to-face seeing them. And we do improve our group work by involving students in providing the timely feedbacks. Through this, although it's an emergency for us to move online, it does show the teachers some of the values of online teaching to the teachers, especially who are against the online teaching very much. But how this is going to be carried out in the future, I think we will definitely take into some of the more efficient actions online in the future. And okay, this is my story. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so interesting. I did quite a lot of group work and you've given me a lot of good ideas. Thank you. We can probably take one quick question, but we are taking Dustin's time now. So is there one quick question? If you've got anything, just use the chat function and then I'm sure that you'll get the answers that you're looking then.